in the match. You jumped on the Brock Lesnar fan wagon, so to speak, and you wanted to see him destroy John Cena, and you got what you wanted. Now you have Brock Lesnar as champion. He's not there all the time. What kind of direction are we headed in? Are we headed in a direction of seeing Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the championship, or eventually John Cena becoming a 16-time champion, which I think is going to be put on the back burner for a little bit longer before that comes into fruition? Or are we headed in seeing a direction of Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns? I would love to see that, because I think it would be, again, a feeling of novelty in WWE. Another thing that I really hate with what WWE are doing creatively now is they're having John Cena being made up to be depressed after losing the championship to Brock Lesnar, after promising that he was going to be champion for a long time. I really hate the idea of how John Cena now all of a sudden has gone into this state of depression, and this cloud of depression has kind of moved over John Cena. I really wish they'd get away from that because John Cena does not need a championship to be put over or to be popular. I mean, he's the face of the WWE. He's the most popular superstar that you have on your roster right now, and to have him be made out to be depressed is kind of making a really bad impression, leaving a really bad impression in the minds of the younger audience in WWE. It should be about, being happy to be where you are with the position you have in the WWE, and not so much to bring everybody down, which is what they're really trying to push for John Cena, to make it seem like he has to overcome Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions. And to be honest with you, I don't see that happening. I see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar before I ever see John Cena winning the championship and going with the direction of having John Cena defend the title against Roman Reigns and eventually lose it. I think that a lot of stuff is being put on the back burner, again, blaming Brock Lesnar for all of this because of the name that he has established in WWE for many years and outside WWE. I blame Brock Lesnar for a lot of stuff that's happening in WWE now, and I really wish this wasn't the case. I really wish they were pushing Roman Reigns more than what they were. He's kind of just there, in my opinion. He just keeps popping up, facing superstars like Randy Orton and Kane all the time, and nothing is ever done with Roman Reigns' character. And I was a big fan of Roman Reigns, even when he was with The Shield. I said, this was going to be the guy who was going to be the breakout star of The Shield, and they're still haven't doing nothing with his character, and that is really frustrating to me. I'm at a point of frustration with Roman Reigns' character, and I think WWE have reached a point of confusion finally after trying to push Roman Reigns for the last several months. They don't know what to do with his character or where to go with him, and I hope they do come up with something for him by the end of 2014, and if not, then early on in 2015. Why didn't they give him the Royal Rumble this year? Obviously, it was because they had big plans for Dave Bautista. They had to have Dave Bautista come back with a substantial amount of momentum to possibly challenge Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 30, and it seemed to me like that was the direction they were headed in with Brock Lesnar. It was to have him face Batista this year at WrestleMania for the title, with Brock Lesnar as the defending champion after possibly winning the title in the Elimination Chamber match. They put that on the back burner, threw Daniel Bryan into the mix, making it a three-way between Randy Orton, Batista, and Daniel Bryan for the championship. Seemingly out of nowhere, they gave Brock Lesnar the match with The Undertaker to give him a reason to challenge later on this year for the title. He got that reason. He got the championship. And now we're finding out that Brock Lesnar is not going to be there all the time as champion. We're frustrated with that. A lot of wrestlers in the locker room are really frustrated about that. And I can't blame a lot of wrestlers being frustrated about this. They're just as frustrated about this as they have been about The Rock and all the publicity The Rock has gotten after winning the championship and leaving the WWE and not there being there to promote WrestleMania and the main event of WrestleMania. They're just as frustrated now. So they have to do something with their new talented superstars, because having Brock Lesnar as champion, because of the name he had in MMA and UFC as champion, is really putting your new talent initiative in a compromised position. And I hope that WWE do something with Roman Reigns soon enough. Big fan of Roman Reigns, always was a big fan of Roman Reigns. I just don't think the time is now for Reigns to be champion, because if they were going to give him the championship, they would have given it to him by now. To predict that Roman Reigns is going to be challenging Brock Lesnar, that is a prediction that I am going with for a possible opponent of Brock Lesnar. Do I see Roman Reigns overcoming Brock Lesnar? It would be a great way of getting Roman Reigns over as a future WWE champion by having him defeat Brock Lesnar for the title, but I don't see it happening. I see Brock Lesnar possibly defeating him in the first match and then waiting a few months, and then if they have Brock Lesnar versus Reigns again in a Hell in a Cell match or something eventually down the road close to WrestleMania, I can see it happening there. Roman Reigns going on to WrestleMania probably and defending the title there and losing the championship. But again, to put Roman Reigns over, they have to give him the title, and they have to give him a meaningful reign as champion, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. Do I see it happening eventually for Reigns? Yeah, I do see it happening eventually for Roman Reigns, but I don't see it happening immediately for Roman Reigns because, again, you have to build a case for Roman Reigns to challenge for the championship, and that case has not been presented yet for Roman Reigns. To me, in that fatal four-way match earlier this year at Battleground, earlier this summer, Roman Reigns was just there to present a fourth challenger in the match to make it a fatal four-way match for the championship, and Reigns really didn't do anything in the match before he was eliminated. Prior to being eliminated, where did Reigns go after challenging for the title? To SummerSlam to face Randy Orton in a match that he won. But this feud between Roman Reigns and Randy Orton is kind of getting old, and we need to see something different done with Reigns' character. Again, if they were going to do something with Reigns, they would have done it long before now, and that's going to be really frustrating to fans of The Shield and Roman Reigns, especially fans of Roman Reigns. And believe me when I tell you, there are a lot of Roman Reigns fans out there. There are more Roman Reigns fans out there right now than there are John Cena fans or Brock Lesnar fans, and that says a lot. And I understand where your frustration is coming from in your comments that you're leaving for video blogs on the internet and for written columns. I really understand where your frustration is coming from because you realize the potential, you recognize the potential of Roman Reigns. You know that Reigns can possibly be champion and be a good champion that will be remembered through the ages, but WWE are consistently putting him on the back burner because they want to go with the consistent thing of having Brock Lesnar as champion and being unstoppable, John Cena and Randy Orton being on top all the time. You separated the Shield. You had Seth Rollins cause the severance in the Shield, and if you were going to do anything with the three members of the Shield, you should have done something with Dean Ambrose long before now. You probably should have had Seth Rollins cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase by now. I thought he probably would have done it at SummerSlam, but he didn't. Obviously, they're holding it off. He's going to cash it in just before WrestleMania and probably fuck everything up and make them worse than what they are right now. And if they were going to do anything with any of the Shield members, they would have done something with Roman Reigns almost immediately. They tried it, and they realized that they're making a mistake. So obviously, the Shield separating was pointless. They should have kept the Shield together a little bit longer and had them feud with Evolution a little bit longer, especially with how Batista versus Brock Lesnar has always been put on the back burner and just been teased month after month in WWE, year after year, decade after decade. They're not going to do anything with that. WWE, in my opinion here, at the end of 2014, as we approach the end of the year, have really lost a direction. They don't know where they're going, and from week to week, they are changing up storylines. 1 minute Kane has the mask on, the next minute he has the mask off, the next minute he's the demon, the next minute he's the director of operations, representing the authority, kind of presenting him in the role of a general manager. It's really confusing, and I don't blame you for getting fed up with WWE. I don't blame you for the comments you've been leaving on forums, on the internet, and conversation, and for social media, on Facebook and Twitter. Things have been really blowing up about how WWE have been doing it with their storylines. They really lost the sense of direction, and they're not near as creative as they may have been 6 months ago. When the Shield first broke up, I said, okay, obviously Roman Reigns is going to be going from the front man of the Shield to being the WWE champion eventually after having a few opportunities at the title and being screwed at opportunity. And wasn't it one time supposed to be about creating new superstars and presenting cases for these superstars to challenge for titles like the IC and US titles? A very few percentage of the new talent in the roster gets an opportunity to challenge for the IC or US title, and an even fewer percentage of the new talent in the roster gets a chance to challenge for the major championship in WWE. Some interesting comments that were made by The Undertaker in 2002 in the first few weeks of the WWE draft. He said, if not for the draft, superstars like Edge and Chris Benoit would have never been given an opportunity to be in the main events, and the draft presented that opportunity to those superstars for the first time ever. And now you would expect the same opportunities to being presented to the new talent now, but because we have kind of killed off the idea of the draft, we're seeing the same 4 or 5 superstars who WWE believe are the only ones who can carry WWE. The same 5 or 6 are always carrying WWE shows and pay-per-views. Because of that, the consistency factor being a huge weight in the world of professional wrestling, never being lifted off the shoulders of the new talent who are working harder than the same 4 or 5 individuals who are always being presented with the opportunity to be in the main event and hold titles in WWE and in professional wrestling in general. We're kind of going back in a circle where we're having the same kind of argument being presented that was once presented back in 1999 2000. And that's really frustrating because superstars like Roman Reigns should be getting the opportunities of the John Cena's and the Randy Ortons, but they're never being given the opportunities. At least when you had two titles for two brands, we argued the idea of there being one champion in WWE for years. There should be one definitive champion. That argument was always presented. But at least with two titles for Raw and SmackDown and even NXT, you had more opportunities being presented for the new talent wrestlers. Why someone like John Cena represented Raw as WWE champion, you could have had someone like Roman Reigns representing SmackDown as world champion. Now you're back to one champion, and it's always Brock Lesnar. It's always John Cena. It's always Randy Orton. Give me a fucking break. It should be the Roman Reigns. It should be the Cesaros, because they are the ones who are being overworked. Those are the guys who are being distributed, and those are the guys that can guarantee you a future in professional wrestling. At one time, someone like a Chris Masters could have guaranteed you a future in professional wrestling. So could have Carlito. So could have these new talented superstars. But now, it's all about the John Cenas, the Randy Ortons, and it's really, really frustrating. I mean, John Cena and Randy Orton are so yesterday when it comes down to the wire in professional wrestling, and I can understand why wrestling fans are so frustrated because the same 4 or 5 guys are always on top. Are you more likely to buy a live event ticket to a WWE show if someone like Randy Orton is on top, or are you more likely to buy a ticket if someone like Roman Reigns is on top as champion? When they first brought in the new talent initiative, the funny thing about the new talent initiative was back in 2009, people like Sheamus and the Great Khali were going to be the guys who were going to carry the WWE into the next generation, and we're still waiting on the opportunities for the Great Khalis and the Sheamus